Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be talking about the difference between having a high school education and a college education. Now, it's kind of hard for me to talk about this because I don't have a college education, but I want to try to talk to you about, well, what's really beneficial about having a college education as opposed to just simply a high school one. Many people will frown on advancing your education and getting a secondary education, but there was the one number that on TV when I was watching the other day, and I don't know how accurate this is exactly, but I'm sure it's at least close to what the numbers are. And what it was is that on average, a college educated person can make significantly more money as opposed to somebody that just has a high school education. Now, high school education, if I remember correctly, it said the average person makes $28,000 a year, as opposed to a college education where the average, I believe, was like $51,000 per year. So that's pretty substantial difference. That's almost double. And for me, the fact that I don't have a college education, I'm living proof of what can happen to somebody as a result of this. Now, it's one thing if you're brought up into wealth and you have an affluent family, and you're born into money and you get inheritance, say, very early in your life, you might not have a financial worry virtually your whole life. A lot of it depends on your ability to manage money as well. Now, if you come into a lot of money and you're the type that's very extravagant, or you don't really have much ability to balance a budget, that could be a completely different story. But having a lot of money, coming into a lot of money does help, and you might not need that post high school education. Some people can just learn a trade, and they do carpentry or something, or they learn on the job, and they could go to a vocational school, which still, to me, I mean, that's still post high school education. And I think it's imperative for a person to get this because, I mean, I look at myself and my situation, and I'm not going to divulge my income on here, of course, but as many of you may figure, and even based on where my location, my videos, where I'm actually, I guess you could say, as far as the literal background, it's fairly safe to say I'm not an affluent person by any means. I like to tell people I'm affluent in spirit, which is the truth. I believe in voracious, but that doesn't change my monetary situation, unfortunately. So what I really like to say is that, I mean, I've had my struggles financially a very good part of my life. I had an opportunity when I was like, I guess you could say between 18 and 21 to go to college or have some kind of post high school education, but I didn't capitalize on it and I squandered the opportunity. And because of that, I'm facing repercussions right now. My grandparents, God rest their souls, they were very magnanimous, and they were both Leos. That might have had something to do with it. But anyway, that being said, I didn't really appreciate maybe what was said to me at the time, and I didn't really respect what they stated, and I didn't take it seriously. And now, unfortunately, there's ramifications that are being paid for that. And what happened to me, many of you may know from previous videos, is that some time ago, many years ago, nearly 20 years ago, I suffered irrevocable damage to my arms. And now, even if I was somehow able to do some kind of I had the opportunity to do post high school education or go into some vocational school, I wouldn't be able to perform the duties and most jobs when I got out. So it's almost like I can't, it's impossible right now for me to do it. And that's why I look back. I know we're not supposed to lament or ruminate about mistakes, but the reason I'm talking about this is to let people know out there, the few people that might actually view this video, and hopefully some of you can share it maybe, is that the significance of getting some kind of education after high school, because you don't want to wind up like me 45 years old, living basically by herself. I'm currently renting a room out, but when I say by myself, I mean my living situation. No significant other. I have to look at the possibility of dying alone, and really that's not a distortion or exaggeration, people, because I have lived by myself a good part of my life, and considering my age, that is not being pessimistic. That's just being absolutely realistic, at least in my opinion, 100%. You can have your own opinion on that. But that, in my opinion, I'm looking at about 50-50 that I might just go by myself, if you understand what I'm saying, when it's my time to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some positives about being alone. You don't have to work around anybody else's schedule or anything. You have a little bit more freedom and independence, but other than that, there's not an overabundance or surfeit of positive things with that. What I want to say, though, is most people do want to have a relationship and want to have a significant other and they want to have their own home and kids. And I think there's something the fundamental step, a very strong step in that is to really emphasize and accentuate getting something after high school, and not just become stagnant like I essentially did, and just hope that, and just keep procrastinating and saying, oh, well, maybe one day I'll do this, one day I'll do this. And then it got to a point where I injured myself to a point where I can't perform so many tasks that are required in the majority of fields, or almost all fields, that you can't even do anything at that point when it's too late. Don't wait until that time might come, because if it happened to me, it could happen to anybody else. And also, what I believe too as well, I don't know what's going to happen 100%. There's a lot of speculation and talk that Social Security may run out in the future, and if it does, it's really important. Maybe that emphasizes the post-high school education thing even more, because then you can at least put some money, try to save some money for your own sake, and be able to put some money maybe into some kind of retirement plan or something, and make a good income where you could put a substantial amount of money into that retirement plan in the event that Social Security is eradicated and doesn't exist anymore, because it may very well be gone by the time, especially what I'm basically stating is to the younger people out there, the few young people that may actually see this video, say between maybe 15 or 16 to 22, that are really maybe are contemplating going to college, or they're frowning on it. And I want to encourage those people to actually go, and that's why I made this video. If I can't help myself, or I'm not able to help myself in that department right now, obviously, maybe I can at least help some other people out there. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment for high school education versus college education. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.